Hey, HTDA, and today we're playing some more Mindustry, and this episode is a little bit late, so apologies for that, but I was very busy the last couple of days, but I'm also really excited to get back into this game. So, we are apparently at a crossroads. It's a high-level threat zone, and let's see, the enemy bases in this sector have been established in varying terrain. Research different units to adapt. Additionally, some bases are protected by shields. Figure out how they are powered. Didn't we already play a very similar level to that with like variant terrain? Well, anyway, that was fun, so let's do it again. And there we go once again. Now let's see if we are going to start out with something that looks like a base this time around, because that would be very nice. And yeah, it looks like we actually do. Let's pause the game there for a moment. What's this? This is actually part of my base, or is this part of the enemy base? This is confusing. Okay, I think that's not part of my base, so let's pause again. And let's see, we have some arcsite over here. We have a little bit of slack, not much, but we have some of it at least. We have quite a few miners over here. What are they mining? They are all mining graphite. We have some thorium already up and running. Plenty of beryllium as well. Some minimum amount, I should say, of silicon. We have some oxidite coming in already. Oxide, I should say. Yeah, okay, we can work with this. Okay, so I did some exploring as usual, and this is a very complex level. So we have thorium over here, so that's good to know, and this area in general seems to be pretty safe. I don't think the enemy can come through here. Famous last words, but yeah, this all in all looks pretty safe. On the other hand, if we go down here, and this is actually pretty close for where my actual base starts, there's an enemy base right over here. There's some turrets that actually prevent me from building anything here. There is some turrets over here as well, so that was why I couldn't explore in this direction either. And yeah, it looks like we might get some creepy crawlies from this direction, because you can't really get through here unless you're one of those. Now, this looks like an area where like dispersion things might be coming from, or creepy crawlies as well, because, well, nothing else is really going to come through here, I don't think. Which actually makes me wonder where normal tanks are going to come from. They might be able to come through here, but I'm not entirely sure if they can actually. But anyway, looks like most of our initial threat is going to come from down south. There are, however, several bases in the north that I found. So here, there's an entire area over here with a shield and plenty of turrets. So this is a pretty well defended place. And yeah, I actually don't know how to get there. Obviously, I can start building a base here, but yeah, that's going to be tedious at best. There's another base over here, and there's, well, I'm not sure if this is two bases or one base, but there's also some afflicts shooting at me from over here. So there's, all in all, some pretty well-defended bases here. And yeah, I actually have no idea what will be the best tactic for this level. I also noticed that I can actually upgrade my bastion to, I think it's called a citadel. What's it called? Citadel? Yeah. Actually, you could build one larger version even, but yeah, I would actually have to invest quite a lot of resource into doing that, so we're probably not going to do that very quickly. But it's worth noting that you can do that, and I think we actually can up our unit cap by doing that as well, so it's something to keep in mind. Okay, so time to reboot, so we actually have 10 minutes to prepare, and let's see what we should do first. Okay, so I'm going to start by spending all my carbide on two of these pyrolysis generators to get quite a lot of power, because we are already very low on power even to begin with. And I'm also going to redo some of these pipelines and belts and things like that, because honestly I don't like the looks of it, and I'm trying to make, for once, a nice looking base in this level if I can manage it. Okay, with about 3k power up and running, it's time to do something about this beryllium layout, because it looks like one of mine in the first few levels. In other words, it's pretty bad. So this looks a lot better. I think I have a lot more production actually here now as well, because I am producing more than I can fit on a single duct. Now I could of course upgrade my ducts, but then I would need surge alloy, which I don't currently have yet. But yeah, I am going to have plenty of beryllium coming in here now. I also want to upgrade this graphite production over here, as well as grab some of this tungsten, but in order to do that I am going to need some more hydrogen, because this single electrolyzer is not going to be producing enough for that. 3 of them should do the trick though, and as you can see we have a lot of hydrogen coming in now, and it's also a little bit more clean than it was before, with kind of this electrolyzer randomly tucked in over here. Now, is all of this rebuilding worth it? The resources and the time I'm spending on it, I don't know. We're going to find out. But honestly, it's not taking me all that long because we had a pretty decent setup to begin with. Now, I have plenty of hydrogen. That means I can set up some alternative mining here as well, because we can also use the large plasma bores now. And there we go. Now I have a full belt of graphite incoming. So as you can see, this is pretty efficient if you actually rearrange things a little bit and add some hydrogen to it. And I have 5 of these plasma bores here making tungsten. And you can actually see I removed the drill that was initially over here, because these plasma bores not only produce more, they actually are more power efficient as well. So there's no reason not to use them as long as you have the hydrogen to power them. Then I have almost all the base resources I need, but I really need some more silicon because that goes into everything when we're building units. I'm actually a little bit surprised that we didn't get a better way to get sand yet, but we have plenty of sand here in the middle, so I'm going to redecorate this just a little bit. And if we place 3 of these silicon arc furnaces over here, we have about a full belt full of silicon. And as you can see, I have a little bit of a back door in here, so I can always make sure there's some silicon going to my base. And I have an overflow over here so that any that is not going to go to my unit production, which I'm going to be placing over here, all of the remainder is also going to go into my bastion. So for some reason, I'm always struggling a little bit with silicon. It's one of the few things that I tend to run out of, but hopefully this should fix that. And that makes sure that with about 3.5 minutes to spare, I have all the tier 1 and 2 units in production. Now, tier 1 units, I'm not entirely sure if it's still worth building them, considering we're up to tier 4 now. But on the other hand, every hit they take is a hit that one of my other units is not taking. Any shot they take is extra damage. So, you know, they're not that expensive to build, so I figured why not. And would you just look at this nice and tidy organized base? I'm really proud of it. I'm very much hoping it's actually going to survive once the enemy comes in. But yeah, in order for us to be able to defend ourselves, we're probably going to need some towers as well. And I'm going to need some more advanced resources for that. Since I am already producing quite a bit of ozone, I might as well start using it, and that is where these oxidation chambers come in. Now, actually, I want to try something new, because remember, all of these things produce heat, and I haven't really been utilizing that heat as efficiently as I could have. At least I don't think I have been. Now, it's worth noting that there was already an oxide production somewhere over here when we initially started the level, but I removed that because honestly you don't need that much oxide, and it was in the way of what I wanted to build. But again, I am probably over designing this level at this point, so this might come back to haunt me. But anyway, I used some of these heat directors over here to redirect the heat produced by these oxidation chamber into a single surge crucible over here. So you can see this is now actually getting heated by 3 oxidation chambers. Now the reason that this is actually not being heated for more than 5 is that I am now having some power issues. I can solve these power issues, but in order to do that, I'm going to need some carbide. At least the way I want to fix it is by building some more of these, but then I am going to need that carbide. Now, I can actually make a very similar setup like the one I have over here to do exactly that. Oh man, look at this. This is so awesome. I have a couple of slag heaters over here, and then a lot of these redirectors all feeding into a single carbide crucible that is already functioning at 160%, and I can easily add in some more slag heaters on top of that. Honestly, I should probably do the same thing for the Surge Crucible as well, but at least for now we have all the resources in production with the exception of thorium. But since we now have everything else in production, what I can do is I can start building some of these cargo loaders and then get the thorium from over here, and then we actually have pretty much all the resources we need to build whatever we need. Now, there are enemies coming in 10 seconds, so hopefully all of this clean building and redesigning was worth it, and I will be able to keep my base and defend against everything. But all in all, I feel really good about this base. Hey, would you look at that? We actually have the first wave incoming. These guys are actually a little bit running past my defenses. That was not really the plan. But luckily these should be fairly easy to take out, I hope. Yeah, there we go. I do need to rebuild some stuff, but that should only take a moment. And now we know they're coming from this direction. And like I thought, we did indeed get some creepy crawlies coming from this side. So we're going to need to wall off pretty much this entire area. Anyway, in the meanwhile, I made sure to keep upgrading my facility, so now this Surge Crucible is producing at 300% speed, and this Carbide Crucible is doing the same at about 320% speed, which means I have all the rare resources in pretty high production. I even upgraded my Oxide production, because you need it for quite a few different things that I want to build at this stage, although this might probably be a little bit overkill, so if I ever run low on power, I might want to remove these, but at the same time, they're not that expensive. Now, speaking of power, I do need some more power facilities, because as you can see, I'm just below what I need. But luckily now I also have everything I need to build some more of these generators. And with some more power up and running, as you can see, now it is time to start thinking about some more defenses, so we can actually go on the offense as well. So how about this? I have two Afflict towers over here, both powered at 160%, by using all of that slag I have around. And yeah, this is actually a pretty cheap way of powering these towers. Now, this won't reach to this area over here where some enemies might be coming from as well. But you know, if you do it once, why not do it twice? And you can see I have so many of these Afflicts over here, all with regen projectors to support them. I don't see the enemy coming through here anytime soon, be it on land or through the air. Speaking of the air, the enemy air unit production is starting in 2 minutes, and I have a feeling they are going to come from the other side of my base. Luckily, I now have all the tools I need to turtle up even further. At the same time, I also kind of want to start the thorium production, because that's what I need for my tier 3 units, and I'm guessing that is what I'm going to need to be able to really push through, maybe along with some tier 4 units. But yeah, one thing at a time. So, air defense first. Remember, the south should be covered by all these Afflicts. I now have a Disperse over here as well. That is actually being supplied by ammo from this impact drill over here that has some tungsten. I knew there was a reason the tungsten was kind of spread out all over the base. There is no tungsten on this right side over here, but I did build myself a unit cargo loader now. Yay, more ships flying around. And there is an unloader over here that is storing some tungsten in this box, and then it goes straight into this one. And now I come to think of it, we do have some water production nearby, so I might as well have a little thingy going like that. And that should make sure that this disperser is actually being overclocked with water as well. This one actually is super easy to boost with water, because, well, remember, all these generators are actually producing water as well. And then last but not least, I now have all the thorium in production over here as well. Well, not all of it, but I did actually wanted to place down 2 of these dispersed towers along with one of the cargo unload points like I just showed you. Why 2? Well, mostly because I could, because I now have everything in production, including the water I need to actually make sure these things are boosted. So I also doubled up on the dispersers over here, because I do think that I'm going to get them attacked in the air from mostly these 2 directions. And just in case, the nice thing is that these dispersers should hopefully also be able to defend down here a little bit in case I'm going to be attacked over here. Is that going to happen? I have no idea. So far, actually, I've only been attacked from the south, and even that wasn't too severe, honestly. So now I do have everything I need to start tier 3 production. I'm kind of wondering if tier 4 is actually going to be needed, because there's a lot of these tight spots over here that I don't think, honestly, is going to be very useful for my tier 4 units to get through, just because they're so huge. It's also worth noting, by the way, that the enemy production is escalating again in about 15 minutes, and given how much time they're giving me to prepare, it's probably going to be bad. So at this point, I'm really hoping I'm not postponing attacking too long, but yeah, I kind of want some tier 3 units. I'm focusing on the air units and the creepy crawlies, mostly for now, because, well, the air units can get anywhere, the creepy crawlies can get in most places, and the normal tanks, well, they can only get into certain places. So, using that logic, my reasoning is that that will be the most optimal way to approach the use different units to get in different places style that the level told me to go for. So I've done a bit of scouting, and honestly it seems like this base over here has very poor air defense, so I should probably be able to take that out just for tier 2 units. This is also powering, I think at least this is powering one of the shields over here. This definitely has better defenses, but yeah, I can't actually attack anything under the shield. So we're going to have to find out what happens if we take out this base. Now this one is also linking all the way up here through the lava. This base is better defended, but this one I can actually reach with my creepy crawlies. There are level 3 creepy crawlies over here. The interesting thing is actually when I just sent a couple of air units to attack this, that triggers the wave of units to come to my base, and if I could send my own creepy crawlies in return, maybe I can take it out before it becomes a real problem. There is also a base over here, which I'm not entirely sure what to do with, but yeah, let's start with one base at a time. So yeah, this base was actually pretty easy to take out. Just some basic defenses, mostly air defenses really by means of ships and some basic turrets like these, but those really don't do much against tier 2 and 3 units. So yeah, taking out this little base not only means that I can now double up on my army, I actually was able to build a couple of towers here as well with the power supplied. So, anything that comes through this corridor over here will be attacked by this afflict. Anything that attacks me from this general direction is going to be attacked by this afflict. I don't think this is going to do too much. However, it actually took out a small part of this base over here. What is in this base, I actually think this is probably going to be the creepy crawlies that were attacking me all the way in the beginning, so this should be a fairly easy base to take out as well. And since this base has a lot of air defense, I really have no other choice than to just walk my creepy crawlies in and take the base by force that way. This thing is being really annoying, but it should be able to be taken out. There we go. And I think we should be able to clear all of this up pretty easily. Well, yeah, there's a few more of these actually that I wasn't counting on, but I think we've gotten past the defenses now. Well, no bastion over here, but at least I was able to build yet another outpost again with some region protectors and some afflicts. It's really nice once you have that initial production up and running. These afflicts just make a perfect like front outpost, forward outpost to make sure you can defend yourself against anything that comes in. Because the creepy crawlies, the level 3 ones at least, do come from this direction, and I think they should be in range. Well, maybe not actually, for most of these afflicts. But on the other hand, my main base has no problem defending against these either. Now, I do think that if I take down this base over here, that should take down the shield that links up all the way over there. So that's where we're going to go next. And I figured I might as well just set up some silicon production over here, because that's always the thing I run out of first. Speaking of which, I am actually, almost capped on my units now. So I'm probably over-designing this, and I should start taking my creepy crawlies to the second base. Oh man, I was wondering why I only have 3 of those tier 3 creepy crawlies, and it turns out that somehow I turned off my factory for thorium over here. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, doesn't help if you're missing the one ingredient that actually makes your tier 3 units. Well, I was able to take out most of the defenses on my initial wave, but then the afflicts, I should say, that are hiding here in the back are doing the exact same job they are doing for me, and it is taking out my units instead. So that's a little bit unfortunate, and as you can see, I was thinking I was being original, but apparently, of course, the AI had the exact same idea of hyper powering those afflicts. So anyway, I'm hoping this defense is not going to be build up too fast, so I can actually stock up my army once more and take another shot at this. The weird thing is, and I had this happen in different levels as well, is that it doesn't feel like I'm really being attacked anymore now I've taken out a couple of bases. As you can see, I am still actually being attacked, but it's not really anything worth talking about. And it just feels a little bit undertuned here and there. Well, this is interesting. While I was waiting for my army to recover, I figured why not just take my flying units for a spin. And it turns out I can actually take out quite a bit of this base over here. Not entirely sure what it's doing here, but yeah, these turrets are not really a defense against tier 2 and 3 air units. So whatever it is supposed to be, it is now no longer there. Oh, and on another note, I know why I feel like I'm not being attacked, because all these units over here are stuck. Look at this. They are completely stuck on this particular area over here. I'm not sure if they're supposed to get through, but they can't. So that explains why only a few of them were able actually to reach my base. Well, with some more aerial harassment and my creepy crawlies back up and running, I was able to take out this base pretty easily now, and that means I have one more bastion to go, and thereby increasing my units again by about 50% compared to what I had before. Just one more bastion to go, but I did actually do some scouting, and this base over here is probably where that core is going to be, and it has some pretty nasty towers. Well, honestly, this map is not my favorite one, because look at this, my units have the same problem as the AI had. Getting through is actually the main challenge I have now to get to the enemy camp. Well, you know, that and all the units that got stuck over here that I now have to fight all in the middle of nowhere, just because, well, the map is being a little bit weird. You can see there's actually a lot of enemy fire intercepting all my missiles from the back, so they actually have a fair chance of getting through like this, but I do think I have the superior firepower to deal with this. It seems I'm actually helping them get through at this point, but yeah, my athletics are going to make short work of them if they go in that direction. Meanwhile, I can clear out this little camp over here, so I no longer have to worry about this last pylon, and then I should be able to move towards the main base of the enemy that is over here. Now, I'm not sure what these towers are, but they do a lot of damage. At the same time, I do now have to deal with an incoming series of waves of enemy units, which is interesting. While I'm waiting for my army to be rebuilt, I actually took out my air units once again, and there was a disperse here with a boosted version, but yeah, if you bring enough air units, you can just take that out, despite taking heavy losses, and softening up this base from behind is probably worth it. Well, or, you know, just take out the citadel without having to go through the main defenses at all. If this works, it's the most cheesy way to take out a level that I've done so far. Well, I had to dodge a few tanks that got in the way, but this definitely seems to be working. If this is the last core, and it is, then this should mean I win the level without having to take on these towers at all. I mean, it's just smart play, but yeah, there we go. Now I'm actually very curious to find out what is over here. Smites. Interesting. But you can see, this base would have been not easy to take on if I would have done it the hard way, but yeah, you know, it's one, and that means we have yet another level completed. Well, even though I do think that this level was a little bit weird, I did manage to fulfill my goal of building a pretty nice and organized base, so there is that. If you're still here, you're awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.